The people versus patriarchy, a.k.a. I love 'em, baby, after Lauryn Hill and Michelle Obama. Somebody forgot to ask that man what he's so afraid of, forgot to ask him why so fearful of being found out. Ever since man first found himself forever green with envy of her power to procreate while all he do is play God. While she's always been Genesis, on a budget. Somebody forgot to tell him that we know that it is no coincidence that every banned book is bleeding. That her choice to not exercise her power of procreation really gets him hot under the collar time and time again. Somebody forgot to tell him that we know that he would reproduce himself with himself if he could. But why him so alone? So isolated in his manhood of unrequited self-love that he would wage warfare across chromosomes to ensure that her ability to make miracles will never outmagic his money like some kind of fundamentalist fur trapper. He hell-bent on cultivating a kind of commerce that reduces women to chattel or livestock or property or something to be stockpiled and devoured. Somebody forgot to tell him that we are more than just wombs, more than just bombs, boobs, and tombs, that we will always be yacht rock to his billionaire boys club. Somebody forgot to tell him that he is not protecting us unless he's protecting us from himself. Who is going to tell him that witches still exist? Who's going to remind him that we will always be the 99%? Who is going to tell him that these pronouns can adverb with the quickness that all my sisters and all our utopian tubes are off limits? Who gonna tell him that the resistance is one of those little black jobs, one of those red, white, and blue, yellow, brown, pink jobs, one of those green jobs, ever green jobs, one of those clean jobs, one of those cleaning jobs, one of those F around and find out what we mean jobs? Who's gonna tell him that there is no amount of patriarchy that can repatriate femininity, that birthright, critical gender theory, that there is no amount of macho bullshit that can Mount Rushmore Lady Liberty? Who's going to explain to him why woman is an evolutionary theology? She can't even spend $1 without it having a multiplier effect on the economy. Who's going to tell him to keep his grimy little policies off of our bodies? Somebody, anybody, everybody. Somebody forgot to tell him that being good at war does not impress us. That he knows we know there is a difference between being good at money and being evolutionarily gifted at keeping wealth away from us. Somebody forgot to tell him that the jig is up, that the proverbial Oz behind the curtain was always going to be a very, very small man. So much for great and powerful, hiding in plain sight. Somebody forgot to tell him that we are still outside, still conjuring futures that he cannot possibly fathom, still making love out of scratch. Somebody ought to tell him that he has nothing to be afraid of, that the time for her to lead has come, and if it makes him feel better, she even has a policy on forgiveness that goes like that song Lauryn Hill sung. If I ruled the world, I'd free all my sons.